Okay, a nice Belgian ale, a couple of pork chops, mashed potatoes, broccoli, and a sauce for the pork chops made from Calvados, which is from Normandy, France. It's an apple flavored brandy. So this is how we start our debate on the Kentucky Derby prospects.
Not bad.
Okay? I am still Jay Nehf, trainer for the California Thoroughbred Racing Club and Cutter Nehf Racing Stable. Eddie Truman, retired trainer, jockey, horseman, kind of a jack of all trades, about killed himself cutting a tree limb off today, but other than that, he's fairly adept. We are here to discuss the prospects for the Kentucky Derby coming up. Fierceness is on the list. Ray and I discussed, Ray Bell, if you've been watching our videos, another trainer from Santa Anita, we discussed Sierra Leone. Nice horse.
Before or after?
Last week. Today we're going to discuss Fierceness, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the court case that was resolved today with Bob Baffert and Zidane. They are not going to the Kentucky Derby. Really? Big surprise there, eh?
Yeah, right.
But Muth, nonetheless, what do you think of him as a racehorse, as a 3-year-old, and the upcoming season beyond the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, I mean, as we know, of course, Bob is so dominant in the Derby and the Triple Crown races. I mean, you've got to give this horse the Preakness, might be a very small field. It depends on who wins the Derby and how impressive they are winning the Derby. I think it's really been, I just got into this because of you talking about this, but I really haven't paid attention to the preps. But lately I've been watching some of them, and it's just hard to evaluate. We have so many spread out that it's really hard to evaluate the different races, how tough they were, and just like you had Dornoch.
And in essence, what you're saying is it's hard to figure out who is the best horse.
Oh, of course.
Or who are the best horses.
Because you used to just have the 2 or 3 races that were really the show up,
It's fluctuated over time. If you go back to the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, and they didn't have a point system.
Right.
Any competent racehorse could show up at the Derby, and they did.
Well, yes.
Horsemen were more selective, I will say that.
Exactly. You didn't have, if you didn't think your horse really had a shot.
But there were many routes to the Derby.
There was, but still, I think, and of course you would know more about this than I, but just from my memory of that time, of the 60s, that it was basically the Florida Derby, the Bluegrass was popular, the Flamingo, and then of course the Santa Anita Derby really wasn't that important, but you did get some good horses out of it.
But in the 50s there was Chicago was a factor.
Yeah.
You had what was it, the American Derby at Washington Park? Arlington
yes,
had one.
That was a big thing.
Yeah,
that was a big time, and
that's.
But I don't know
what 6
that
hours.
wasn't a prep though, was it? That was after the Derby.
The American Derby, I think, was after the Derby,
Yeah,
but still,
after.
there were
But it's very
big races,
important
big stakes races there.
And the 2-year-old Futurity there, what was the Arlington, Washington Futurity?
That was it, yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah.
If you won that, you were going to be one of the favorites.
But see, now you don't have a choice. You have to go into races that they designate as points races.
Right.
Back then, you didn't have to do that.
Sure.
You could go wherever you wanted to go. And if it came down to it, as to who was going to get in that starting gate and who wasn't, it depended on money, and not just money, but how you won that money.
Yeah.
How much did you win in graded stakes? Oh, well, that was before graded stakes. It was how much money you won in stakes races. Wasn't it the 70s before stakes, they came up with the graded stakes system?
Or did they? I don't remember when.
Yeah.
It's been there for quite a while, I know. But before, it really wasn't, I mean, the Louisiana Derby, has really come up in stature in the past few years.
Tampa Bay Derby.
And Tampa Bay, nobody could think about Tampa Bay. And now,
but if they didn't designate them as points races,
oh yeah,
they'd be
people wouldn't
nowhere.
even run there. And same way
It's
with
all very
Turfway.
artificial to me.
Same way with Turfway.
Yeah, the Lexington Stakes.
Uh,
That's the one they just ran.
No, the Lexington wasn't at Turfway. That's at Keeneland.
No.
The
Was it?
Lexington is at
No, I thought
Keeneland.
it was at Turfway.
No, Turfway is, what do they call it? The Ruby? Jack Ruby Stakes? Or it used to be. Whatever. Jack Ruby. Yeah, well, maybe in Texas.
Named
I was
after
thinking
the
of
guy that
Texas.
assassinated.
Right, I was thinking
no.
about Texas.
No, I think that's the wrong Ruby. I think it's the Jeff Ruby.
Jeff, yeah, it's Jeff, his brother.
Do I have to edit that out? Is that politically incorrect,
Definitely
people?
would.
Let us know in the comments. But yeah, it's kind of become, and we touched on this in some of our other videos, but it's an invitational race, inviting the horses that won this race, the Bluegrass, the Arkansas Derby, the Wood Memorial, the Florida Derby, those 100-point races. And there's 13 or 14 of those races.
Yeah.
When you start, and the second place horses get 50 points.
Right.
So basically, they're saying that's what they want. The rest of you can go to hell.
Exactly.
Until last year.
That was...
Was it last year or the year before when they had all those scratches?
Oh, that was...
Remember that?
Last year. Yeah.
No, I think it was the year
just before the Derby.
Tim Yakteen's horse, Practical Move, scratched. John Sheriff's horse, Skinner, scratched.
And what about
and
Pletcher?
Pletcher's horse, Forte, scratched.
That was last year.
Was that last year? They all those horses scratched out.
Yeah, now with HISA, with all these new rules.
But those are all the 100-point winners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tim's horse won the Santa Anita Derby, 100 points.
Yeah.
Pletcher's horse won the Florida Derby, 100 points. On and on and on.
Yeah.
So, and then that really disrupts things.
Oh yeah.
You can only manipulate things so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mother Nature and.
I really don't think there's too many horses that get left out, but still you get horses that win the Derby. I mean, Madge last year, and hey,
Rich Strike.
What was Rich Strike?
He was the one that came out of nowhere. He got in out of the scratches. He got in at the last minute.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And then you have, now you have the Sunland Derby that, since Mind That Bird. And I think the Sunland Derby, because of close to California and Baffert having so many California horses, he could send horses there. And
well, he took 100 points with the Santa Anita Derby when he won that. Yeah. Or, I'm sorry, not the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah.
When Muth won that, they won 100 points.
Yeah. That's
out the window.
That's true.
And the horse that won the Santa Anita Derby this year.
Yeah, Imperative.
I don't know who. I couldn't tell you who it was.
Imperative. Yeah.
Whose horse was that?
Strong. Because he beat Imperative. He beat Baffert's horse.
Oh, that's right. Baffert's horse finished second. Yeah.
Phil D'Amato's horse.
Stronghold. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. He ran a game race. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't kept up with the horses coming up to these big races. But from what I've seen, though it's hard to evaluate, that Sierra Leone, what an exhibition that was. I mean, that was unbelievable because you don't see races at Keeneland. Well, I don't watch that many, but that to run, a horse to run like that, come from dead last and just circle the field and just
But he's
power
done it
on.
more than once.
Pardon?
He's done it more than once.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
his style.
Oh, yeah,
And
no,
I think
I
what's
know.
going to be interesting is Fierceness is the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
He runs on the lead.
Yeah, or close. And that's what I have to say. I think Sierra Leone is, quote, the better horse. But, you know, I'd have to bet on Fierceness. Because, you know, in the Derby,
In the Derby, you can
need to
get
be
in
close. You can
way
get in
too much trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, so easy to get in trouble. I mean,
Okay, now you handicappers,
there you
here's
go.
a guy.
Jay will give you all your money back for
Yeah.
my picks.
Yeah, but I don't know the racetrack as intimately as you do. You've been face down on more racetracks than I could count, right?
That's for sure. Oh, man.
Oh, God.
But I think the Derby, yeah, it'll be interesting. It's just so sad that Baffert isn't running, and it's such a travesty.
Okay, now I
It's
want to point out a
ridiculous.
couple of things here. The Bluegrass Stakes. Who was last horse to win the Bluegrass Stakes and the Kentucky Derby?
Was it Street Sense?
Nope, he ran second in the Bluegrass.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you who it was. It
Yeah.
goes way back, way
Right.
back to the 70s somewhere.
I think Rostock won it when I was there in the
Well,
60s.
geez, that was the 60s,
That's
yeah.
the 60s.
But it's been that long.
Yeah.
How many derbies? And Baffert doesn't win the Derby every year. Baffert isn't in the money every year.
Yeah,
He's got great horses.
Yeah, but he hasn't been in the Derby for 3 or 4 years. If he would have been, I mean, authentic.
He's won more than anybody else in modern
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
No question. But he
No.
does not win every year.
No, not every year, but believe me.
But his horses are
his
always
horses-
a factor
Yeah,
every year.
if they let all the horses run of his.
Now, I'll tell you something else, and I actually talked to Bob about this. And he was stunned. And you and I have talked about how many Kentucky Derby winners have sired a Kentucky Derby winner since Seattle Slew sired Swale. And Seattle Slew won it in 78.
Yeah.
And there's been one unbridled sired grindstone.
Mhm.
That's it. And name a Kentucky Derby winning stallion since Unbridled and Seattle Slew who became top level sires. I'm
Yeah.
talking top 5.
And you wonder if.
Now, how do you explain that?
Well, I would say one factor is, which I'm totally against, are the 2-year-old and training sales. That these brilliant, well-bred horses are sent down there now in 9 and change.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant 2-year-olds, and they don't make the Derby. They break down before. I mean, Uncle Mo, and so you've got horses that just, so many horses go by the wayside. So I don't think that's a fair thing to say that if if you're going to a sale, you don't want any horse that won the Derby. I don't think that's fair. I think you have to look at.
But look at the stallions that are producing the Derby winners.
Yeah, who have you got? So who are the stallions?
Into Mischief has sired 2.
Yeah, who'd he sire?
He sired Authentic and Marion.
And who? Right.
He sired another one too. Authentic and I can't think of the other one.
Yeah, but
But he sired 2.
yeah. Has Uncle Mo sired any?
He has not sired one yet that I can recall. But you've got gosh, let me take a quick look here.
Yeah, look and see what are the sires of the last 10 Kentucky Derbies.
Okay. You want to know that? I can tell you that.
And I mean, there's so many, now we've got so many big races. You've got the Breeders' Cup, so here people are prepping their 2-year-olds to run in the Breeders' Cup and then come back in the Derby. So I think the road to the Derby, that there's so many people pressing for that road that they just don't make it.
there's no doubt. And again, when Bob and I were talking, he said, it's a bucket list thing. He said everybody wants to, to win it. And Baffert has never, to my knowledge, come right out and said this, but it seems to me that he has a business plan. I don't think he'd call it that, but it seems like he has a business plan in the sense that he gets the most and the best prospects for the Kentucky Derby, and his operation, and you'll agree with this, his operation is geared towards winning that race.
Oh,
and if they do,
sure.
If they do, you're talking 70 million they got for Justified before he won the Triple Crown. He was sold, his breeding rights were sold before he ran in the Preakness.
And how much for American Pharaoh?
That I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no, he's the best. And, and to keep him out of the Derby is just, that's insane. It's just not right for racing.
Well, you're not just keeping him out, you're keeping the horses out.
That's what I mean. You're keeping these horses, so, even if you win the Derby and you're, quote, the best horse that year, it's never going to be the same. You got to put an asterisk by your name.
Yeah.
You didn't run against Baffert.
So last year Mage won it. He was by Curlin.
Yeah.
You're talking a mile and an eighth, Curlin?
Curlin, he won the Saudi Arabia. He won a mile and a quarter.
Yeah. Rich Strike, Curlin. There's another dual Derby winner. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
Fierceness.
Mm-hmm.
His dam is by a California sire,
Yeah, Stay Thirsty.
Stay Thirsty. Which I have a Stay Thirsty.
Wonder how they acquired that dam.
Stay Thirsty?
They bred, Rapoli bred that horse, Fierceness. He bred him, so he has the mare. I wonder how he acquired
That's right,
that mare.
he is the breeder.
And I didn't realize that mare isn't she a half to Cairo Prince and someone else?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a nice
Hell of a family.
But I didn't know. And more than likely, Stay Thirsty was back east, and then he came out here.
He did, yeah.
And so that's how, of course, it was while he was back east, I guess.
He's got a couple of grade 1 winners.
Yeah.
He won't, those opportunities are going to diminish now that he's out here. We just don't have the mares they have in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's still producing some.
I have heard some talk of that in Kentucky that Stay Thirsty looks like he might be a quality breed mare sire.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, Fierceness at the top of his game, so
yeah, we'll see if
a lot
he
of
can keep
times
it up.
one horse, everybody jumps on the bandwagon.
But I'll tell you something. A couple years ago, I went to the Keeneland sale. I was intent on buying a Bernardini mare because he had just died. He'd been the top of the broodmare sire list for 3-4 years in a row, and I wanted one of his daughters because Cincy and I are doing some breeding. And when I got there to the sale, first of all, I just the mares, the fillies I looked at just weren't appealing to me physically. But everybody was buzzing about Omaha Beach. So I started looking at Omaha Beach, and of course we got one. And the year before, it was Mendelssohn. Now how did those guys know? And those are brand new stallions.
Mm-hmm.
They had nothing at the races, but boy, everybody's saying. So I went and looked, and sure enough, I got Irresistible Force by Mendelssohn. I got Wicked Desire by Omaha Beach. Now there's a horse, Omaha Beach, that won the Arkansas Derby, didn't he? Or was it the Rebel? I think he won the Arkansas Derby. He also won the Santa Anita Sprint.
Well,
Sprint Championship.
but didn't he? Did he win the Santa Anita Derby?
Mm-hmm.
No, he went to Arkansas instead.
Yeah. But Fierceness.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much a front runner.
Has he laid off? I didn't even see his form.
No, I was watching some of his races, some of the videos, and he's always right there.
Always on the front? Or,
Yeah.
but is he always actually on the lead or
No.
not?
No.
Okay.
No,
So, I mean,
he'll be
Yeah.
just off the flank of the horse on the lead,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
really
man.
a sweet spot.
oh, yeah. And with
So,
Johnny
who's
Dean-
riding him? John Velasquez.
Yeah. So with John on him, oh my gosh. No, he's gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah.
He's made real tough to beat.
But I just think the contrast in styles with Sierra Leone.
Oh,
is
that
gonna-
Sierra Leone.
That could set up to be a really great race.
It'll be interesting, but just traffic is just so important, you know, it's just so hard. That's a problem. With a speed horse, you'll win races that you shouldn't win because of the pace. You know, you get loose, they let you go. But a horse that comes from out of it, he never wins a race accidentally. He's always has to be the
He's gotta
best
take it.
horse. He's got to be the best horse, you know. And Buster Mallory had the greatest saying about, he had a horse, Native Diver, that was
Yeah,
already
sure.
on the lead out here. And so they were at the press conference before the Hollywood Gold Cup or Derby or something. And so one of the other trainers said, well, Buster, you know, you better be careful at the head of the stretch because I'm gonna come a-running. And Buster says, you know, you're gonna be where I've already been. Isn't that the best? That's the best. It's like, oh, yeah.
That's incredible. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
So,
love speed.
Churchill Downs, first Saturday in May, you've got a very good chance you're going to have a bad track.
Not a very good chance, but there is a chance, that's for sure. But, you know.
Yeah, probably
they
a
keep
25% chance.
it. Yeah? No, I don't think so. I mean, you go back all the derbies, and you're saying that a quarter.
No, I'm
of them
talking
run
since
in the
climate
mud.
change.
Oh, since climate change. Well, then you've got a point there. But I think that's kind of irrelevant because they keep that track so fast.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Well, remember, mind that bird.
sloppy track. Yeah.
Sloppy track, and Calvin Burrell took him right up the rail.
Yeah.
From all the way.
Yeah.
Reach strike, same thing.
Yeah, and Pletcher, the two horses he won with, were both in the mud.
Were they? Always Dreaming and Super Saver.
Yep, they were both in the mud. But I don't really think that's the big factor because they keep the track, and now especially keeping it super fast that, you know.
Post position.
Yeah, now that's a factor.
Now, Sierra Leone, what if he draws the inside?
Yeah, I don't think it'd make a lot of difference with him drawing the inside or not. I think it'd make more of a difference with Fierceness.
Why do you say
if
that?
you draw in the 20 hole or something where you really
you
have
mean
to
far
use them.
outside,
Yeah, yeah. You know, but if he draws in the middle, you know, anywhere from 6 or 7 to 11 or 12, I think that would be the sweet spot for him.
Well,
So we'll see.
you think we've covered all the bases here?
Sounds good.
All right, Eddie.
That's your money.
Thanks for your opinion. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck at the races.